Hello and welcome to Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I am your host, Shawn Needham, along with my guest today, Rhonda Burbank, and my wonderful producer, Lindsay. Today we are streaming in our hotel from beautiful Eugene, Oregon. It's great to be out here. The weather's awesome. Just talking to Rhonda today. She's a local here, been here for years, and you know you're an hour away from the coast and you're an hour away from the mountains. It's beautiful here. So glad to be here. Nice weather. We're going to be talking about Rhonda's weight loss journey today, and it all started when she had a hysterectomy 20-some years ago when she was younger, and I'll let her go into the details of that. You can see the name of the podcast, and you know it's how hormone changes can really affect your weight. If you remember our show from Monday, Janet and we talked a lot about thyroid, and then we went into other hormones and how that can affect your weight. Well, hormones in general, you know, they are in symphony together, so it's not just one hormone that can affect your weight necessarily. It's many of them because they are meant to work together. So it's important to have a balance of those hormones, and if one or two of them are gone or out of balance, it can cause a lot of issues, including weight issues. So Rhonda, I'm going to start with you. Go ahead and tell us about your weight loss journey. Thank you for being on.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm very excited. So hormones are huge. And I didn't really learn that until later on, and I'll get to that eventually. But in my early 20s, I ended up having to have a hysterectomy, a partial hysterectomy, and later on I had my ovaries removed due to cysts on them. And I didn't realize how much the loss of those hormones was going to affect me. I battled depression, some anxiety, weight gain, which led to diabetes. I started having high cholesterol issues, and loss of self-esteem. I really struggled a lot with trying to redefine me and who I am and what I wanted to do with life, because I went from being this 120-pound cute young woman to nearly 300 pounds by the time I was 48 years of age. So here I am in my 50s, and you know I've lost 80 to 90 pounds, and I've got a long ways to go yet. I'm not down to that 120, obviously, but I'm getting there one step at a time, and I attribute a lot of that to my mindset. One, thinking differently, learning about hormones and how they affect me, and finding the right supplements that work to help me reach the goals that I need to reach.
And then a keto diet too. You've done you've done a keto diet also.
I started implementing the keto diet a couple years ago, off and on. Recently back on. It's been a challenge for me in maintaining that keto diet, mainly because not everybody in my household wants to be on keto.
Yeah, right.
And it helps to have that in-home support. Luckily, my husband enjoys cooking, and he has supported me 100% in my journey, and that helps. But of course, there's still ice cream up in the freezer and potato chips in the cupboard because they don't want to do the keto stuff.
Right.
So that makes it a little bit more challenging, but I find other healthier snacks to lean on. I like my almonds and things like that. So.
Well, good for you, and good for you for having the mindset and realize that, you know, the journey's never over. I mean, life is a journey, and
it's ongoing.
You know, I think, I've talked to our listeners and viewers about my weight loss struggles, and, you know, I still continually have to watch my weight. And, you know, there are times where I'll get on the scale and I'll say, you know, or I just start, not even on the scale, but I just start looking or feeling like I don't want to anymore. And I just have to, you know, get a little bit stricter. So good for you for having that mindset. Now, tell us about how some of these diet and lifestyle issues affected you when you were pregnant with your third child. You had gestational diabetes, is that correct?
Yes.
So tell me about that.
That's when my weight gain really hit, was during that pregnancy. Before that, I lost the weight rather quickly after having my first two kids. Of course, I was walking a mile a day over to mom's house, so that helped. But with my son, when I was pregnant with him. I was about 6 months along. I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. At that point, I was gaining rather rapidly during the pregnancy, to the point that by the 7.5 months along, I was nearly 300 pounds with that pregnancy. And looked like I was carrying triplets.
Wow.
And I wasn't even full term yet. They went in and they did an amniocentesis to remove some fluids because I was having trouble breathing. It was getting difficult to walk, and it threw me into an early delivery. So we ended up doing an emergency C-section. I was about 38 weeks with him, and he was born 9 pounds, 10 pounds, 12 ounces. And
so a big baby.
He was a big baby. He was very early. They said he was the biggest preemie they had in the NICU, and he was doing everything a preemie did, only he was huge. He looked like a pincushion. You pop him in, with a pen, and he would literally explode, is what it looked like. He was so bloated. So it was getting dangerous for him and myself both. And so it became a need to do that emergency C-section.
Now, has that caused any health issues in him later on in life?
Not yet that we've noticed. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He is a big man now. And, we watch. Luckily, no diabetes for him.
Good.
Just overweight.
Yeah.
Seems to be the norm for the men in that side of the family.
So tell me a little about, they started you on hormone replacement therapy and you couldn't tolerate it. Is that correct?
Yes, that is true. After my hysterectomy, they started me on hormone. I want to say it was, I can't remember the name of it, but I do know that it affected my liver count, and so they took me off of it. Okay. And so I went through early menopause at a very young age, and that affected my hormones terribly, sent me into a deep depression. And I thought, maybe it was all mental health issues. I just needed to go through counseling, and that would take care of it. Antidepressants, I was taking all kinds of antidepressant medications to try and balance things. And, for a little while it would work, but then I'd have to add more because it wasn't working very well. Finally, in 2015, I started on Cymbalta because at that point I wasn't just depressed. I was having some immense amount of pain, physical pain from being overweight all the time. The joints ached, nerve pain. I was starting to have neuropathy from things and from the diabetes. So I started the Cymbalta, and that really helped with the nerve pain and the depression. But then in 2017, I lost my job and I lost my insurance. And with that came, excuse me, I get a little emotional talking about this. With that came withdrawals from not being able to take medications. I couldn't afford them. And I was really contemplating taking my life at that point.
Oh, my gosh.
And I didn't share that with a whole lot of people within my source, but I'm pretty sure, my husband probably had the hints and the keys and that. But I was miserable, and I was gaining more weight, and I was grieving the loss of my career, and that was really hard. And I still grieve that, I think, because so much of my heart and passion was in the work that I did. Excuse me. And so that loss led to binge eating and more pain and more discomfort. And I was miserable. And my migraines were so intense and getting worse and worse. And I was trying to figure out, where am I going to go now? What am I going to do now with my life? And by some chance, a friend just happened to send me a message. How you doing? I've been thinking of you a lot. It's been on my heart to pray for you. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. It's so sweet that you would think of me like that. And then she shared with me this coffee that she had been using. And I thought, oh, okay. And so she wanted to send me a sample. So I said, okay, send me a sample. Well, I got the sample and it sat on my table for a while before I tried it. I'll be honest. You know, part of me was anxious and about trying so much skepticism over all of these supplements that I had tried over the years. Nothing had worked. Why would this work now, you know? So I read up a little bit more about it, and then I got this horrible migraine again, and I thought, here we go again, another migraine, 3-4 days in bed. I'm sure it's going to be terrible. And I remembered the coffee. I thought, well, I'll try it. I had heard some caffeine helps, so, you know, I'll try it. I had actually sworn away from caffeine and told myself I wasn't going to drink any more caffeine. But here I am, I'm drinking this coffee, and I kid you not, within an hour, I was up, dressed, ready to go shopping. That is unheard of with a migraine for me. It usually takes a whole day after a migraine to just recover. I called it a migraine hangover. And I had energy to boot all day long. I was cleaning. I was doing laundry. I went shopping. Came home and I just started bawling my eyes out. I could not believe how good I felt, and I couldn't figure out what was in this coffee that would do this for me. And so I quickly messaged my friend. I said, what is in this? I need more. Make sure I don't run out. I don't want to ever run out. And she messaged me and said, you know, it helps with your body's hormones. It helps stimulate your body's hormones so they go to work for you, and it has nootropics in it, so it helps you cognitively and gives you motivation. And I was like, really? So I'm studying more all of a sudden about these nootropics and the stuff that's in this coffee, and I said, this is amazing and I need more. So she hooked me up, and I've been promoting it ever since. I've been taking it. I've not gone a day without it because I'm terrified of those migraines coming back. And I can tell you now, here I am over 2 years later, and I've not had one single migraine. And I have been positive and with my journey, and it's really given me the motivation I need to keep going each day. And to have the serotonins, endorphins, oxytocin, dopamine all working for me. They call it dose. All working for me, and on my side, I've been able to function again and get in that right mindset so that I can reach the goals that I need to reach in life. And so that's been really, really a big thing in my life.
So, thank you for sharing your story, and I appreciate you letting your emotions out. I know these things can be very emotional.
They are.
Yeah, and I'm definitely glad you decided to change your life. Now, what was the motivating factor? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? You went to a doctor one time. I did.
My doctor, who I'd seen since my 20s, I went to see him in 2012, and he told me, he told me, you have 10 years. I give you 10 years, and you won't last.
At that time, you were how old?
I was 42.
42. He said you had 10 years to live. Wow, that's a wake-up call.
And that hung over my head for the longest time. I kept telling myself 10 years, and here I was after losing my career thinking, okay, I've only got a few more years left. What am I going to do? You know, and with that mindset, you're just going to go under. So I had to get out of that way of thinking, and a lot of doors opened when I discovered how through this coffee my hormones were so messed up. And when my journey really began was way back when I had my hysterectomy. And it just opened a whole new window for me, and a new door to walk through, and a new vision of myself and who I am and where I'm going to go with my life. And if this can help me, it can help other people. And, I'm all about wanting to share health and wellness. And if I can't do it in the social service field, by golly, I'll find another way to do it.
Right. So at the time when you went to that doctor, you had diabetes. Tell us a little bit about, you shared some of the numbers, your hemoglobin A1C.
Oh gosh, yeah, my A1C was at 10, and
what should a normal A1C be?
You want your A1C ideally in the 6-point range or lower. Not too low, but there's a window there. Mine is right now at a 6.6, which is the best it's ever been. It was at the highest of 10. I think it was about almost 6 months after I started my coffee, it went down to a 7.0. I mean, that's how drastically it changed, with just changing, my coffee and the way I ate, because at that point I was on keto. And so it really started lowering my blood sugars. Unfortunately, the only thing that hasn't changed for me with getting the diabetes under control is the neuropathy. It's probably permanent, and I don't know that there's anything that can reverse that. I've got some supplements I'm trying right now to see if those will help reverse that, but I haven't found anything yet to reverse that.
Well, and that's one of the problems with neuropathy, is a lot of times it is not reversible in diabetics. So that's why it's important to not let it go too long.
Right.
This doctor, you said that gave you 10 years to live, and that's kind of where you really felt in the back of your mind that you wanted to make changes. He supported the keto diet. He knew a little bit about it. No, he did not.
He actually did not. He retired, and I had to find me another doctor, and which has been great. My new doctor is fabulous. He supports the keto diet, healthy living. He himself is on keto, and so that helps. I get a lot of great tips and support from him. He's fabulous. I really enjoy working with him.
So when you first tried HRT and these your initial hormones didn't work, did you, your liver enzymes? So just for our viewers and our listeners, oral HRT can sometimes cause elevated liver enzymes in some patients, and some patients can't tolerate it for that reason. There are other options. You can do topical HRT, either a patch or, a cream like we can compound up in our pharmacy. Did they give you any of those options at all?
No. Right after that, he just decided to stop, because I was also taking the cholesterol meds, which also affect the liver. And almost anything that you take anymore affects your liver as far as pharmaceuticals. It's either your liver or your kidney. Something's going to get affected. And so for me, it was my liver. And they did some imaging of my liver and decided, we're not going to risk it. We're not going to put you on anything because you need your statins. And at that time, I needed it more. And I still do, unfortunately. It's one of my goals is to get off my statins, and once I get back on keto and I stay focused on that healthier lifestyle and lose a little bit more weight, I'm pretty confident I'm going to be able to get off of those statins, and that's one of my goals.
Yeah. So at your maximum weight, how many medications were you on?
Oh gosh, I think I was on. Give me a minute. 8.
8 medications. And now how many?
Just one.
And now you're just on one medication. So
one pharmaceutical medication. The rest is all supplements.
Yeah. So you by changing your lifestyle, you got off 7 different medications.
Yes.
And you're pretty confident that if you keep on keto and get strict again, you can get off the statin.
Yes. Yeah. That's my goal.
How are your liver function tests now on your statin?
I haven't honestly had a liver function test in about 5 years. Oh, okay. So I'm curious. Yeah. My last test and imaging showed I had a fatty liver. And they said I'm probably going to just keep having that as long as I stayed overweight. Yeah. So but that's all it showed.
So recently you had a little bit of a setback in April. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I lost my mama at the end of April.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Thank you. It sent me in a really bad place mentally. My mindset wasn't very good at all. And we all grieve differently. My sister, bless her heart, she got into working on the house and getting it together for putting it up for renters, and she did a lot of the busy work. And I'm in the background trying to be this cheerleader, trying to cheer everybody on like I do, and trying to keep it together for everybody in the family, and encouraging them and lifting them and neglecting myself. So I'm in the back corner eating gallons of ice cream and eating chips and trying really hard to be that cheerleader and gaining a little bit of weight. And I decided, I need to get refocused again. I need to get away and get refocused and regroup and find myself again and get right back on that healthy mindset. And, weight loss, like you said, is a roller coaster. And, I had gained, after losing Mama in just a little over a month, I had gained like 25 pounds.
Wow.
Just binge eating at night, So I have spent some time the last couple of weeks just working on me and rebuilding myself back up. And so the timing of this couldn't have been better. So this week I actually have lost another 5 pounds.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
So, thank you. And that's just by changing my mindset again, thinking, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get back into my keto. I'm going to exercise. I'm up every morning, walking the dog. We're eating my eggs and avocados for breakfast, and and evenings avoiding those snacks after 7 o'clock, and just the snacks, if I choose to snack, it's going to be something like almonds or pork rinds or something that fits along the keto diet rather than that ice cream. Which is up in the freezer and I haven't touched it.
Wow, good for you. You got more
really good.
You got more willpower than I do.
It's hard.
Yeah, I just can't have that stuff in the house.
But yeah, and life is full of ups and downs, and you're gonna fall off the wagon, they say, from time to time, and you just need to know, it's okay. You're going to heal. You get back up on it and start going again. And, that I think I told you earlier today, I got on a horse for the first time in 35 years.
Oh, wow.
You get in those mindsets, I can't do this anymore because I'm overweight. A horse is 1,000 pounds. They don't care how much you weigh. Yeah. And so I got up on that horse and I rode, and I felt so free today.
Good for you. That's awesome.
So, you just got to tell yourself you can do things. Take can't out.
Yeah.
Because you can.
So you're basically telling me that you kind of, you're an emotional eater.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us are.
Stress.
I think it's a reminder that we had somebody on our podcast, and he would say, in order to fix our bodies, we have to fix our brain.
Right, exactly.
And it's just, I think that's just totally true.
Yeah.
So your story kind of hits home with that theme. Yeah. So now in the future, you have a goal of doing something soon. What is that?
Yeah, so my goal, I have huge goals. I've got a bucket list.
Good for you. Good for
I
you.
do. But with each weight goal that I reach, I celebrate. My next weight goal is to be able to go skydiving.
Awesome. Awesome. Good for you. Yeah.
We live near, I believe it's Cresswell or Corvallis, one of those two locations. They do skydiving, so I'm going to look that up.
That's super exciting. That's super exciting. So, what in the last few minutes here, what are your parting words, Rhonda? And what would you like our viewers and listeners to know about your story and about how you can inspire them?
You're not going to get that perfect body that you had when you were 19 or 20 back, and it's okay.
Right.
It's okay. Be true to yourself, and know that, if you're staying honest to yourself and honest with your goals, make sure that they're reachable. You can reach the goals that you want to reach. And let go of the past, because that's what it is. It's the past. It's there for a reason. Look forward to today and tomorrow, and stay focused on the here and now.
Well, thank you, Rhonda, for being with us today and being on our podcast. You've inspired me, and hopefully our viewers and listeners have been inspired. And just thank you for being real and sharing your story.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And if anybody's interested in learning more about our products that we take for our hormones, feel free to send me a message. I'll be happy to share it with you.
Perfect. So you can listen to our podcast. This is our midweek podcast with Rhonda Burbank today. Our midweek podcast varies from Wednesday to Friday, depending on our guest schedule. But we're streaming live on Facebook and the my personal Facebook and the Moses Lake Professional Pharmacy YouTube site. We are also on most of the podcast forums, so iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, all those podcast forums. So go to those forums, please. Like our YouTube page, comment, let us know what other topics you would like to hear. You do not want to miss Monday's show. Monday, as always, we stream 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are going to have Spike Cohen on. He is the vice presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party for President of the United States. I'm super excited to have him on. He is the VP candidate running with Joe Jorgensen, who is a presidential candidate, obviously. And I'm super excited to have him on. We are going to be talking about the politics of healthcare and some of the fixes. It goes along well with my book. It's one of the reasons I'm having Spike on, because we're going to talk about my book a little bit. My book is called Sickened: How the Government Ruined Healthcare and How to Fix It. And a lot of the ideas I heard him talking in a podcast I was watching of his, an interview I was watching of his ideas are very similar to what are in my book. So you do not want to miss that. Tune in Monday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for viewing. You've been listening to Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Thank you so much.